You know that friend, the one who's always drained, always exhausted from feeling too much. They tell you they're an empath, and somewhere in their life, there's always a narcissist, draining them dry. It's the perfect story, right? A good person, cursed with too much heart, and a bad person, born without one. Victim, villain, roll credits. Here's the problem. That story is a lie, not because the pain isn't real. It absolutely is. But because the label you've been sold, empath, doesn't exist. Not in a single diagnostic manual, not in one peer-reviewed brain scan. There is no gene for it, no special soul, nothing. So what is actually going on when two people fall into this exact same trap over and over, in relationship after relationship? Think about it. If it were really just bad luck, good person, bad person, wrong place, wrong time, this pattern wouldn't repeat itself with terrifying precision across millions of people all over the world. It's not luck. It's wiring. And today we're going to open up the brain on both sides of this equation and show you the actual mechanism nobody wants to talk about, because it's a lot less flattering than "I'm just too kind for this world." Let's start with the empath, the person who swears they feel everyone's emotions like their own. Here's the twist neuroscience throws at this whole idea. That heightened sensitivity didn't come from being special. It came from being scared. Picture a kid growing up with an unpredictable parent. One day warm, the next day cold or explosive or just gone. That kid learns something fast. Reading the room isn't optional. It's survival. Every shift in tone, every change in body language, every tiny mood swing has to be tracked in real time. Psychologists have a name for the survival strategy that gets built here. It's called fawning. You've probably heard of fight, flight, and freeze. Fawning is the fourth one, and honestly, it's the one nobody talks about enough. Instead of fighting back or running away, the child learns to shrink. Please, soothe, agree, become whatever keeps the peace. And here's the part that really matters. That strategy doesn't stay in childhood. It gets hardwired into the nervous system. Fast forward 20 years. That kid is now an adult with a sympathetic nervous system stuck on high alert. Hypervigilant, as the researchers call it, constantly scanning for danger, even in rooms where there is none. Their body genuinely cannot tell the difference between an actual threat and someone just seeming a little off. So when this person says, "I feel everything," they're not exaggerating. They're not being dramatic. Their nervous system really is working overtime all day, every day, just to keep them safe. Except the danger isn't out there anymore. It's a memory their body never got the message to update. Now let's flip to the other side of the story. The narcissist. And here's where pop culture gets it almost comically wrong. The narcissist isn't some evil genius twirling a mustache, plotting to destroy your self-esteem for fun. What's actually happening in their brain is, in its own way, just as damaged as what's happening in the empaths. Brain imaging studies have looked at two specific regions here, the insula and the anterior cingulate cortex. Both regions are deeply involved in something called emotional empathy, the part of you that feels a flicker of someone else's pain, almost like it's your own. In people who score high on narcissistic traits, these regions don't fire the way they should. The wiring for feeling someone else's emotions is, quite literally, underpowered. But here's the twist, and this is the part everyone misses. This isn't the same as having zero empathy. Many narcissists can still tell you exactly what you're feeling. They can read you like a book. What's broken isn't detection. It's the emotional charge that's supposed to come with it. The part that makes you actually care, and underneath all of that, an ego that's shockingly fragile. Because self-worth was never built from the inside. It has to be pumped in from the outside, constantly, like a tank with a hole in it. Compliments, admiration, control, attention. All of it functions the same way a hit of dopamine does for anyone else chasing a high. So now you've got two people. One person whose nervous system was trained to disappear for someone else's comfort, and one person whose nervous system was trained to demand constant proof that they matter. Put those two people in a room together, and what happens next isn't random. It's almost mathematical, But before we get into exactly how that trap locks shut, and why it's nearly impossible to see from the inside, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this channel breaks down exactly this kind of hidden psychology every single week. And drop a comment telling me which side of the story sounds more like you, the overgiver or the overtaker. I'm genuinely curious how this splits. Let's get into the lock. Here's the mechanism nobody tells you about. This isn't a victim meeting a predator by accident. This is two nervous systems that fit together like a lock and key. The overgiver needs someone to save. Their entire sense of worth depends on being needed, being useful, being indispensable. Setting a boundary feels, to their body, like an actual threat, because somewhere deep down, their survival once depended on never pushing back. The narcissist needs someone who won't leave, no matter how badly they're treated. Someone who reads every mood shift and adjusts accordingly. Someone whose entire nervous system is built to keep the peace at any cost. Do you see it yet? Each person is unconsciously auditioning for the exact role the other one is searching for. This is why this relationship almost never looks abusive at first. In fact, it usually feels like fate, like finally being understood, because on some level, each person has finally found someone whose damage fits perfectly into their own. Researchers call this codependency, but that word barely captures how deep it actually goes. This isn't two broken people randomly colliding. This is two defense mechanisms, built years apart, in completely different households, somehow engineering the exact same trap. And the cruelest part? Neither person is actually being their true self in this dynamic. The overgiver is performing safety. The narcissist is performing control. Two masks, mistaking each other for real connection. So how does anyone actually get out of this? The honest answer starts somewhere most people don't expect, not with the narcissist, but with the nervous system of the person who keeps getting stuck in these relationships. Because here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You can't logic your way out of a trauma response. Understanding fawning intellectually doesn't switch it off. The body has to actually learn slowly that setting a boundary will not get it abandoned or destroyed. That means starting small, saying no to something tiny, and surviving the discomfort that follows. Noticing the urge to over-explain, over-apologize, over-give, and pausing just for a second before acting on it. It also means getting brutally honest about one specific pattern. If every difficult person you attract seems to need saving, that's not bad luck anymore. That's a nervous system that learned love has to be earned through self-erasure. The goal was never to become less caring. It's to build a version of yourself who can care deeply and still walk away the moment caring stops being safe. Here's the truth. This whole story keeps hiding from you. You were never just an innocent empath who kept getting unlucky, and they were never just a cartoon villain either. Two nervous systems, shaped by two different childhoods, somehow finding each other again and again like magnets that were built for exactly this collision. That's not romantic, and it's definitely not fate. It's biology, running an old survival program that nobody ever updated. If this finally connected the dots for you, hit subscribe because we break down exactly this kind of hidden psychological wiring every single week. And I want to know, tell me in the comments, has this pattern ever shown up in your own life? And did you already recognize which role you were playing? I read every single comment. See you in the next one.